wrong here. That cannibal of his will be ringing out the sound of our defeat.
Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court?
Do we? I mean, this one is already known to the court. I mean, there's this one. Which is a little bit annoying. Would you call it full though? Would you really call it full? Technically? I guess. There is one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see.
Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I'm giving you one chance, and only one. What the judge is saying, Mr. Wright, don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here.
If I mess up, it's curtains for all of us.
You may now present one and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important piece of evidence that you must show to the court? This is a wine glass, is it not?
Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle with his assailant. The vase was broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These were things that were all at one point sitting on the top of the dresser.
Well, yes, I see your point.
However, this glass that was sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say?
Well, yes, it is a little peculiar.
Yes, isn't it? I thought it was.
You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth.
What is it, Your Honor?
Your opinion?
You don't need my opinion, because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked she set this glass down without thinking.
That does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright.
Could Miss Andrews really have set the glass down without thinking? If I appear weak here, the trial's over. I can look for my proof later. That's just Phoenix in a nutshell. It's like, who needs evidence? Let's just drag this drag this out for as long as possible. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. They may just fall for it if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table.
You've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim?
There's no way he has anything. He's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, Mr. Wright. Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then, of course it has been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints. Fingerprints? There were only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass.
Only one? Well, whose were they?
They were not the victims, nor the defendants. Rather, they were one of one Adrian Andrews. What? That is why I said that the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? I can't believe I fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corrida. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down upon the dresser.
What you just said makes a lot of sense.
Now do you see, Wright? You can't change any part of my scenario, as it explains everything all too well. I've thought long and hard this past year what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer that I have come to discover.
Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict.
Unfortunately, I can't allow you to pass judgment just yet. The prosecution has yet another witness that we would like the court to hear from.
Another witness?
Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. I guess we can all just see where this is going before she even opens her mouth. Witness, your name and occupation, please. Gotcha! I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier. Oh, Edgy boy! It's been, what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony, but who knows that under that helmet, it was the wicked witch on the witness stand. I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So, today I'm going to tell you anything and everything. And even things that don't have anything to do with that terrible crime.
Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know.
Oof! Shush! I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgy here right now. Don't interrupt us, Grams!
Yes, madam. No, no, please, by all means, interrupt her, please.
Witness, your testimony, please. It's true what they say, that youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I find it all edgy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag? It was a great job, being able to see my dearie Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle.
You mean you were a fan of the victim?
Look, everyone is crazy over that Engarde, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Corrida.
But those two were the same age.
Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night. Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder.
Leave it to me, Eddie Boo.
Anyway, after the ceremony, I went around to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was Engarde, Matt Engarde. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room.
So Mr. Engarde came out of the victim's room.
See, it has to be him. He's the murderer.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Miss Oldbag, what was it? What was your post on that night? The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for that trifling show, but I refused to help. I'll have you know, it was for that lead-headed samurai's show. I even took out a few of the nails.
Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on.
Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me, so I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little.
And that's when you went to the hang around the victim's door. Something you were interested in? And just what was that?
It's not some little thing that I can go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and Juan. Ah, and Edgeputh, of course.
Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor.
Gossip? But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to her testimony later.
Looks like we shouldn't force it right now. And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door this entire time?
Oh? Then would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Corrida's room? I have no idea. I wasn't born so I could count things for the... Wait, I wasn't born so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why so I turned 20. I quit keeping track of how old I really am. That's not relevant.
Yes, well, that will explain why your age was not included in the report. In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct?
No. Who in the world was that? I'm not allowed to say. This sort of information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. The man came out of Juan's room. It was... He was...
Yes, he was?
Ah, I'm too scared. I can't say his name out loud.
Oh, what wouldn't I give to have Francisca's whip right about now?
I mean, you're not the only one who's thinking it, Pex. Well, I guess Guess I can tell you since he was such a bad boy anyway. You saw my client? Are you sure about that? Yes, say. Really? Annoying brat! When I say I saw someone, I saw that person! How do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, should I delve into things a little bit further? Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. What a troublesome man you are! Really, as if something like that matters. But it does. Now was it? Oh yes, it was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he's always wearing, that racing jacket. Ah, he was wearing that at the detention center too. That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. Right. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? Well, in doubt, it's very important. Of course it was important, Your Honor. It was, though. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honor, I requested what the witness said about the jacket to be appended to her testimony. Oh, I don't quite see where you're going with this, but all right. Witness, please. Ah, well, I don't like bad-mouthing anyone without reason, but if I must... He was wearing his flashy jacket, racing jacket. Honestly, it's all just for show. But the thing is, he was supposed to be wearing his Akama at this time, so what's this about? Miss Oldbag. What? Don't say my name for no reason? Do you know what this is? Ah! It's button number 2 on the Ninja Ninja's costume! She knows which button it is, just from glancing at it. She's obsessed. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it at a single glance. Give it here, give it here! If you don't give it here to me, I will punish you with this! Wow, she is really die-hard fan toward the button covered in blood. This button was discovered at Mr. Engarde's body during a full body search. See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Engarde. It was caught in the pleats of his nickel samurai Hakama pants. See? And Engarde is the nickel samurai. Witness. Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination, but just now, didn't you just say that the defendant, Matt Engarde, was wearing his usual racing jacket? Ah, I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. If I were to... Yeah, I'm not gonna try that. Oops. Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So, what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Engarde the man, but Miss Engarde the nickel samurai. But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point that we're talking about. Edgy Poo, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change. Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify. All right, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. Engarde, Yes, now I remember. The nickel samurai, that's right. It was a nickel samurai that I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn the nickel samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. What? Do you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things. But the possibility does exist. Ah, young on today, I told you there's no way it was anyone else.
How do you know that?
Because I said so, and what I say is the truth.
At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Would you please get on with your testimony? Huh, what's your language, young man? What's that sort of tone to take with an elder? My youthfulness isn't what it used to be, so you should forgive me for everything. If you keep on barking at me like that, I'll start singing up the top of my lungs.
What? She's actually singing. Someone help my poor ears. Mr. Edgeworth, can you please do something about this racket? Witness, I'll give you a piece of gum later if you'll be good and stick to just the facts.
Okay, you promise, right?
Right, I'll be sending the bill for the chewing gum to your office at a later date. Remind me to send you a thank you note later too, Edgeworth, old chum.
Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago, you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not? Not too long ago? Then let me ask you this. When you were itty bitty, what was your grand dream? Huh? What did you want to be when you grew up, whippersnapper?
My dream, huh? Well, I wanted to be a jug whacker. Hero wanted to be Judge Drackner, here of the public's court. So what?
See? It looks like where you are now. You're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you?
Well,
what I said earlier. Who puts weight into things like that? There's now. The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past.
Since when did the court become theatrics over testimonies?
All that matters is that man was inside that costume. Isn't that enough?
And why would that be?
That way no one can see his face, of course.
But there's still no advantage for him in that I can see. In fact, you would think that the costume would make him stand all the more.
You are such an annoying child, you know that? You disagree with everything I say.
Isn't that what you're always doing to me?
I got it! Maybe it was more trouble for him to change in and out of his costume.
Was there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show?
Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage in a friendly gesture thing.
And that included Jam and Ninja.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Satan is more reliable at that.
Of course it included him. That's why when Engarde came out of Dear Schwan's room, I didn't give it a second thought.
I see.
Well, anyway. So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, was it really the Nickel Samurai? As show is ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning? Can I throw in the towel yet? You don't need to think too hard on this one, huh? There's a contradiction in her testimony and it's sitting in plain sight. The question is what that contradiction means for us. Well, I had to figure out what you're talking about first, but okay. It is actually this one. Because... knife. He can't have fingerprints if he was wearing the costume. Please take a look at this. Yeah, so it's a knife, big deal. If you try to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all. That's a knife that was used in a murder, correct? Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case? You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it. Is that what you're driving at? That is exactly what I'm driving at. What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving? If Mr. Engarde was really in the steel nickel samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, he would have wiped all the previous fingerprints on this knife right off. Oh, that's right. The Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. And why would he do something like that, to leave his prints on the murder weapon? There's no way he would do something like that. However, there is one possibility. Let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as a Nickel Samurai. At that time, the defendant had no intention of murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk to the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off. But the murder still took place. It's well known that there has been bad blood between the defendant and the victim. Yes, I have heard that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory? So let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes something like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Now, up until this point, are there any problems with this theory? There's a contradiction. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Engarde was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. Yeah, we're making Edgeworth's car target again. This knife. This was used by Mr. Engarde at dinner. Yes, we did establish that. Which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Kurita. I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At the time, the defendant held no intent of murder. If that were true, then why did he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, gods. Water, water, water. Your theory was flawed from supposition 1. And one more thing. If the murderer was wearing a costume during the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means that the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over it. Wait, what? Which means that the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. And that